Straight ahead on 12 News Weekend, can you tell the difference in these $20 bills? Hear from a Plymouth woman who received quite the shock. Plus, full speed ahead, an update on the light rail project that's still on track but will impact homes in Brooklyn Park. But first, what seems to be driving good-paying jobs and the local housing boom. 12 News Weekend starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us on 12 News Weekend. I'm Shannon Slatton.
And I'm Delane Cleveland. When Smith's Medical relocates its headquarters to Plymouth this year, it will join a growing list of med tech companies that call Plymouth home.
The high concentration of companies in the western suburbs has a far-reaching impact. Alexander Renslow begins our show with a look at why Plymouth has become a medical technology hub.
This is the cool thermal therapy system.
When Plymouth-based medical device company Urologics was founded in 1991,
it treats enlarged prostate disease, which is also commonly known as BPH, or benign prostatic hyperplasia.
This is the original product idea that fueled the startup.
Patients don't have to go to the operating room. It's done under a local anesthesia. They're home the same day.
24 years after its start, the company has grown to 60 employees and now produces 2 devices for treatment of enlarged prostate disease. Urologics is certainly not the only medical technology company in Plymouth. Last year, a report from the Minneapolis St. Paul Business Journal found 24 medtech companies located in Plymouth. And trade association Life Science Alley says that number has now grown to 30. It includes companies such as Covidian, Intellis Medical, and St. Jude Medical, which expanded its Plymouth facility in 2013. The 3-story expansion now houses over a third of St. Jude Medical's 3,000 Minnesota-based employees.
I think if you look at the Twin Cities from Eden Prairie up to Maple Grove, that is the high-tech or the med-tech corridor.
Plymouth city manager says the hub of med-tech companies in the western suburbs brings high-paying jobs that fuel the housing market and retail in Plymouth. And it's no coincidence other medical device companies are choosing to relocate here.
There's a highly educated workforce in the community. There's great housing, there's great schools, and a great park system. So I think we're able to attract those people.
Urologics CEO Greg Fluitt echoes that sentiment.
You know, you have these great large companies like Medtronic, Boston Scientific, St. Jude, that are all in this greater area. And so that becomes this great fountain of talent.
When a company such as his looks to expand, having other medical device companies and supply partners nearby is a huge asset.
You have this great access to all sorts of potential partners for the company.
Alexander Renslow reporting there. In an effort to attract even more medtech companies, Plymouth plans to add an economic development manager this summer.
A Plymouth woman is surprised and shocked after she received counterfeit money from her bank. Jennifer Silvers says she made a stop at a holiday store to pick up some snacks, but when she went to pay, the clerk told her the money was no good.
They have a special pen that you use, and she marked it, and it came up dark brown. I am worried because how it's supposed to work is that you're supposed to be detained and they're supposed to confiscate. That's very scary to just the average person to be detained.
Silver says she got the money from a bank in Deep Haven. She was told to bring the money back so it can be rechecked to see if it's fake. That money will then be turned over to the Secret Service.
Brooklyn Park's interim city manager plans to issue a formal response to the city's current ban on amplified music in city parks. One by one, community members spoke out this week against the ban. The city council approved the ban back in January after neighbors complained about music so loud at Oak Grove Park that it rattled dishes in their homes. Still, the residents who spoke consider the ban an insult on their culture.
When Brooklyn Park boasts of a highly compact community that respects the values of people from diverse lives, cultures, and styles, to be the first to pass such a law, which is draconian.
Interim City Manager Mike Sable tells 12 News that it's always a challenge to balance the rights of property owners with those who use the parks. Plans are starting to take shape for light rail transit along West Broadway Avenue in Brooklyn Park.
The project is essentially no longer a question of if, but when. As we found out, there are still plenty of people skeptical of the project.
This is great. to see this much interest.
Thursday night at North Hennepin Community College.
It's great to see this many people out here.
A standing room only crowd packed the Grand Hall for the latest update on the Metro Blue Line extension project.
And the Blue Line extension is the light rail piece that adds additional transit service into the Northwest.
This time around, it's not a matter of if the project will happen.
We're expecting and hoping for 27,000 riders per day by 2030.
This animation shows the 85th Avenue station platform.
But rather, once it does happen, what should it look like?
Whether it was going to happen, I think, was a long, drawn-out discussion. But now we're there, and it's exciting to begin to plan it for real.
The Blue Line passes through the intersection of Bottineau Boulevard and 73rd Avenue.
The design of West Broadway between 75th Avenue and Highway 610 was the primary area of concern at this meeting. Project developers organized the crowd into small groups to seek feedback on that stretch of roadway.
The noise is getting to be more and more all the time, and now this is actually going to bring the noise closer to us.
It's a section that could either have 2 lanes or 4.
We are looking at a number of different roadway alternatives, from where we would have to potentially acquire some houses to where we would acquire none.
Property acquisition was certainly on the mind of property owner Jay Harris.
Well, I'm concerned, yeah.
Who owns a rental property right along their proposed light rail route.
What I'm concerned about is people getting compensated fairly, because I know they're going to take some of mine, and they're going to take a lot more of other people's property.
It's one of many concerns that others along their route have as well. How it all plays out remains to be seen.
People will get a fair market value for their property if we take a foot of it or if we take the whole structure.
If you missed last Thursday's meeting, you will have another opportunity to weigh in on March 19th.
In our weekend review, a railroad connection project in Crystal drew the attention of state lawmakers. Senator Ann Rest introduced several bills in an attempt to block the project, which would link an east-west Canadian Pacific track with a lightly used Burlington Northern Santa Fe line that heads south. The connection would increase train traffic. City officials are concerned it could potentially delay emergency responders. Railroad companies say the link is necessary to reduce freight congestion. Also at the Capitol, a teacher tenure bill passed the Republican-led House and moves on to the DFL-controlled Senate. The bill would require school districts to consider performance and not just seniority when laying off teachers. Local Senator Terry Bonoff has proposed similar legislation, though its fate is far less certain in the Senate. And Plymouth police met with the City Council this week to discuss future public safety needs. As Northwest Plymouth continues to be developed, future policing needs have come into focus. The city may add a patrol district to keep up with the growth, along with hiring more officers. There's also discussion of combining the police and fire departments into a single department to hold down increases in public safety costs.
New federal regulations could have you rethinking your next water heater purchase. Starting April 15th, all new water heaters will have increased efficiency standards mandated by the Department of Energy. The new standards will likely mean a new water heater will cost you around 30% more after April 15th. It's something to keep in mind if you're due for a new water heater. The new units will also be at least 2 inches taller and wider.
People with like townhouses or older style houses, they don't have much room in their basement or in their utility room to fit a bigger water heater. If we were to have to change it out after this date, it's going to create bigger issues because we might have to move piping around, furnaces around. A lot of things might have to move around just to fit this unit in the space.
The average water heater lasts between 7 and 10 years. Well, coming up on 12 News Weekend, a great group of students put their knowledge to the test.
You'll meet the national tournament-bound Lionsgate Academy Quiz Bowl team up next. And then later in sports, Hopkins and Eden Prairie battle in a great section boys basketball final.
But first, how's this for a warm-up? Upper 40s and 50s entering into the equation starting Monday. Welcome back, everyone. A rookie Quiz Bowl team from Crystal is so new they don't even have a buzzer system for practice.
But that doesn't matter when it comes down to the match. In their first season, Lionsgate Academy has had more success than they possibly imagined. Twice a week at Lionsgate Academy in Crystal, students test their trivia knowledge.
Victor Hugo.
Hoping these questions might come up again in a Quiz Bowl match.
6 is correct.
It's the first year for a Quiz Bowl team at Lionsgate, a charter school which serves students with autism.
We actually got involved a little bit after the season had already started, so we didn't even get a full season.
But what the students don't have in experience, they make up for in confidence and humor.
I like to prove my intellectual superiority.
The teams actually scored so well in the matches they did play.
It's pretty fun for the most part. Stressful at times, but usually get through it, and we win.
That they earned a spot at the national tournament in April.
I was like, wait, what? Plot twist.
I was really surprised. I didn't think we would make it to nationals.
It's still pretty unbelievable for our inaugural season.
So while students sharpen their skills, the coaches are preparing students for the new experiences they will encounter.
So that our students might practice what it's like to go through the airport before we fly. We'll probably be talking about what it will be like to ride the light rail when we get to Atlanta. All those sorts of things we have to think about.
But students seem ready for the unexpected and confident they'll be first on the buzzer.
We're gonna do as best as we can.
Yo, we're going all the way. We're gonna ace the championships.
And I bet they will. The team is headed to Atlanta in April. They have to raise $8,000 for the trip. So far, they've only raised $3,000. If you'd like to help, you can donate to the Lionsgate Academy Foundation. We have a link to their website on ours, 12.tv. Great group to hang out with.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do. I mean, that intellectual superiority, hey.
And we need to work the words plot twist into our stories more often, don't you think?
That'll be my challenge next week, yes.
Coming up, potato creativity that's mashed up into a winning design.
But first, Golden Valley native Jordan Leopold is back at home to play for the Wild. That's all coming up in sports with John Jacobson. Welcome back. John's here now at sports, and so first we have Torrey Hunter coming home, then we have Kevin Garnett, and now there's another person coming home.
Jordan Leopold is back, and I think happy to be home, and a lot of fans excited to see him in the Wild uniform. He has come full circle. Golden Valley native and Armstrong High School graduate Jordan Leopold is back in his home state after the Wild acquired him at the NHL trade deadline. Veteran defenseman Leopold skated with his new teammates for the first time Tuesday morning at the XL Center. Leopold was traded by the Columbus Blue Jackets to the Wild Monday. This will be his 8th NHL team. No question, coming back to Minnesota was welcome news for Leopold.
It will be pretty nuts. I anticipate there will be quite a lot of friends, family in the crowd. I heard from a lot of people yesterday. I turned my phone off for about 10 minutes, and later I know I have about 150 texts. So anybody that knows me and has my number has contacted me.
A letter his daughter Jordan wrote, addressed to the Minnesota Wild coaches, but never sent, asking them to trade for her dad, became national news.
That letter was wrote by my daughter back in January, and it was with anybody that has kids. You guys know they take things upon themselves sometimes, and she was writing a little bit persuasively at school and thought it was a good idea to write a persuasive letter. So I woke up this morning and there's the letter. Carson Daly's reading the letter on the Today Show, and we've been contacted by everybody to get my daughter on TV and whatever it is. But
Leopold did make his Wild debut against Ottawa earlier this week. A huge crowd at Cooper Wednesday night to witness the Section 6 4A Boys Basketball Championship game. It was second-seeded Hopkins taking on top-seeded Eden Prairie for the title. First half highlights, and the Royals' Vinny Shaheed drives the lane, scores, and he's fouled, giving Hopkins a 7-point lead. Eden Prairie's Ryan Jacobus hits a 25-footer for three, and the Eagles go up 30-29. Xavier Johnson for Hopkins hits a three in front of the Eden Prairie bench, and the Royals will take a 1-point lead at halftime, 32-31. Second half, good passing for Eden Prairie ends in a layup for Blake Cashman, and the Eagles go back in front. Blake Lanassa buries a three to put Eden Prairie up 45-40. They'd later lead by 7 with under 3 minutes to go. But Ishmael El-Amin hit some big baskets for Hopkins, including this one to bring them to within a point late. Shaheed gets fouled with 1.3 seconds to play, and he drains 2 free throws to give Hopkins a come-from-behind 59-58 win, so they head to state. We'll have highlights of the Champlain Park Wayzata Section 5 final Monday on our Sports Jam show here on Channel 12. The girls' basketball playoffs tipped off this week. Osseo has made a strong late season push, and the Orioles earned the second seed in Section 5 4A. They hosted Irondale in the quarterfinals. Kiara Russell going inside to Azaria Reed. Back out to Russell for a three. It's 22-18. Russell pours in 33 points in the night. Irondale doesn't back down, though. Quick passing here leads to an open look. Andrea Bland, her shot bouncing around and in, and they stay even with Osseo. The Orioles close the first half on a 5-0 run. Russell beats the buzzer with a long three, giving the Orioles a 40-35 lead at halftime. It stays close all the way. Michaela Hamola scores on the runner here. She scores 19 to give the Orioles a second point producer. Good passing here, and it opens up a three for Hamola, and Osseo beats Irondale 74-69 to advance to the semifinals. One night after the Wayzata and Maple Grove boys basketball teams met on the Section 5 4A semifinals, the Trojans and Crimson girls team squared off in the quarterfinals of the Section 5 tournament. Cameron Hay has a nice first half for Wayzata. She scores inside for a 9-4 Trojans lead. Sydney Franks open for a three, and she hits to give Wayzata a 25-11 lead. Maple Grove tries to cut into that lead. Mackenzie Barta with a quick catch-and-shoot three. The Crimson trails 35-22 at the half. Maple Grove comes hard in the second half. Barta with a baseline drive and a reverse layup and good, and cuts the lead to 41-38. But Wayzata keeps pace. Annie Robertson scores on the break with a left hand. And then Megan Rulin drives to the hoop and the foul, and the Trojans go up 51-44. Maple Grove rallies again. It's Mary Eckberg with a three-pointer coming up here for the Crimson. And with less than a minute to go, Haley Barker will drive and score, and Wayzata's lead is cut to 53-51. The Crimson, though, doesn't score again, and Trojans' 8th grader Mimi Schrader ices it with a pair of free throws. You can watch the Wayzata Osseo semifinals Sunday on Channel 12, and we'll have a recap Monday on Sports Jam. And that's a look at sports for the weekend.
All right, good game there.
Yes.
Thanks, John. Still ahead, a spud that turns into a work of art.
Meet a Brooklyn Park 10-year-old who's inspired by a potato when we come back. Well, finally, a Brooklyn Park 10-year-old is the proud winner of the Tater Daze button design contest.
Caitlin Qualley has entered in the past, but she's never won, that is, until this year. Her pencil and crayon drawing of a potato holding a flag with the Brooklyn Park logo on it was selected as the winning design. Look a little closer and you'll see smaller potatoes holding hands, and that is a lot to get on a button.
I had trouble at first figuring out how to organize it all so it would fit all the information and details, but eventually I got it all picture perfect.
To have this opportunity to be selected is very exciting and definitely a first for her.
Caitlin will get to ride on her own float in the Tater Daze parade this summer. She'll also get recognition by the City Council and $20 toward carnival rides. So she can start planning now what she's going to do.
Indeed.
See you next time, everybody.